I am Dean. I've been doing prison ministry for 2 years. Was first invited through our church bulletin, and Deacon Roberto Fuentes had been doing the prison ministry for 2 years, and so I was, for 15 years. I joined him for the last 2. Because of other obligations, he could no longer continue the ministry because he was saying Mass at 2 parishes. And after about 2 years, he had asked me if I would be the prison coordinator in place of him, and my first immediate response was, not me, anybody but me, because I can't do this. And he said, no, you can do this. And so I have just taken on that responsibility for about 2 months. When I was first invited to do any prison ministry, it was through the church bulletin, and before that it was through a men's retreat. And one of the things we were instructed or reminded is that our life is not about us. We weren't put here to, take advantage of everything else, but also to serve others. So that was a good opportunity for me to serve. One of the tremendous benefits for me, of course, when you first go in, there's reluctance. My wife said, well, what are you doing that for? Why would you want to do that? Or you got to be careful, make sure you don't give them any information. After 2 years of doing it, actually after the first night of doing it, the men that are incarcerated are such loving and humble men, and they're very respectful. They very much appreciate the volunteers coming in. I know with Deacon Roberto, they have an opportunity to have communion during the service. So I have gotten a lot more back from the men. And in some ways it's kind of embarrassing because it's a very humbling experience to see men who are incarcerated, who you would think are there for doing bad things, but in their heart they're really good men. And so that's the thing for me. It's probably been a very humbling experience because they're very kind, they're very loving men. It's not what I imagined when I drove down the highway and saw the barbed wire fence and the men inside. So for me it's been very rewarding. I get more back from the men that are incarcerated than I can ever give them. We have our service on Sunday evening, and so some of the men, there is a Mass on Wednesdays, but not all the men can attend because some of them have work or school obligations. So for them, their request when this started 15 years ago was they wanted to do service on Sunday, because typically when they were growing up in their Catholic faith background, they went to church on Sundays. So for them, having the Eucharist on Sunday, that is their Sunday Mass, and that was a very important day for them to celebrate the Eucharist. And for them it's just like being out in the community again. They don't get a chance to do that behind the prison walls, but when the Eucharist comes to them and is celebrated, I think for one brief moment, maybe for an hour of their day, they can celebrate the Eucharist with their brothers in Christ. And I think it just kind of gets them the idea that they're not incarcerated anymore. For a brief moment, they can celebrate the Eucharist in that setting, just like any of the rest of us do in our own parishes.